What we're trying to identify and solve is the problem that the Brownsville campus and the student body are facing regarding the degradation of certain departments due to the administration based in Edinburgh taking our resources and spreading too thin what we still have. The widespread program is due to several factors, mostly regarding the actions of the new administration. The administration wants to focus most of the resources on the Edinburgh campus by funneling resources from the Brownsville campus. The administration is poorly outfitted and does not take into account the plight of the Brownsville campus beyond what infects their own position. And professors are spread too thin and are forced to offer fewer necessary courses, delaying the students' graduation and forcing them to pay more in certain circumstances due to the 12-hour tuition minimum. Much like UTB did the TSC with the already dwindling graduate program, UTRGV seeks to take certain resources away from Brownsville campus so that the primary focus is on the Edinburgh campus. For example, currently with computer science, some significant pieces of equipment from our labs have been moved. There are no graduate programs whatsoever in Brownsville, and the professors who teach them that reside in Brownsville are forced to either teach in Edinburgh remotely or commute. Also, the space for the electrical engineering department in Brownsville campus has become very limited, leaving the department with only one classroom and two labs. There's a limited space and limited faculty members as compared to the Edinburgh campus, having a faculty ratio between Brownsville and Edinburgh campus of 4 to 17. This lack of faculty members has forced the few professors we have to do many additional jobs, including volunteering as lab technicians. This has reduced the number of advanced courses being offered, forcing the students to travel to Edinburgh. Considering that traveling to Edinburgh and taking a class there takes around 4 hours, which is equivalent to taking 3 courses in Brownsville, it creates conflict with the students' schedules, health, and expected graduation dates. This is harmful to all stakeholders in Brownsville in several ways. 1. The students in Brownsville are far less likely to get into a graduate program and pursue a master's degree. 2. The professors that commute to Edinburgh are spread too thin and are forced to slash classes from Brownsville to teach in Edinburgh. And 3. The department being impacted will stagger over the semesters and eventually reduce itself to a lesser degree or completely close due to the lack of funding and interested students. The concession to this is that the BMed program and the physics department are still flourishing and will continue to be the prime mover of the Brownsville campus. However, the programs that are being cut, namely the music department, computer science, computer engineering, the electrical engineering, and many others are being much more drastically affected and will soon reduce into smaller programs. Specifically in the music department, namely the Bravo Opera Company, a student said that Edinburgh is inconsiderate and outnumbered the department faculty substantially. The administration that was formed after UTRGV was born was not only made by melding the administration from UTB and UTPA, but also by doubling the total of the new administration with an increase of over 400 faculty members. A much less technical reason is that the administration of UTRGV is poorly outfitted and self-serving. In the past 2 years, the administration has grown significantly and adversely to the professors and instructors. Many professors in small-time departments were cut and more administrations were hired, increasing the student-to-faculty ratio from 20 to 1 to about 26 to 1, resulting in a reduced amount of classes throughout the catalogs from 2015 to current. Along with the decisions to increase tuition, the 12-hour minimum payment, the uncalled and unnecessary creation of the football team, and the administration's inaction to certify the university, the administration is failing to communicate with the individual departments and thus creating flawed curriculums and degree plans that are damaging the students' progression. One can argue that Edinburgh gets more classes because the student population is bigger in certain departments, but this is only because of the adverse programs put in place to degrade Brownsville, especially in the summer classes, which are almost or completely cut or never even existed, like the engineering physics program. However, this is only because Edinburgh has forced a decent amount of students to move to Edinburgh or commute every day with the impression that the quality of their education would be better. This belief proves itself once the population of Brownsville is dwindled and the programs are forced out for lack of enrollment or lack of funding.
I believe one of the biggest problems is the lack of professors on both campus. For example, when I said that I wanted to do a minor language interpretation, I couldn't because since I am on the Edinburgh campus, there were only 2 classes of a whole minor being offered in Edinburgh, and majority of them are in Brownsville, which I also know if you're a nursing major, there are a lot of classes that you cannot take online that are only offered in Brownsville and not here in Edinburgh. So I mean, there's a lot of things we all as students need to look into, but ultimately they're not our fault. And I believe that the university should notify us.
A synopsis of our possible solutions include expanding the graduate programs and hiring primary stakeholders with an absolute dedication to the university and their own education, like senior-level undergraduates and graduate students back into the system to teach lower-level undergraduate classes and labs. Expanding the influence to local high schools, our primary future stakeholders, and promote more enrollment without lowering standards of admission, and cut away unnecessary administration to make room for more dedicated professors and professors that can act as administration. Inspired by what our stakeholders have said, we should expand the graduate programs and create more opportunities in Brownsville so that every department will have a bigger pool to hire from to teach undergraduate classes so that professors aren't spread too thin. This will create a system that will close up the intellectual gap between undergraduates, graduates, and professors, allowing the undergraduates to grow closer to their fields, graduates to practice their craft, and professors to keep focused by cutting away the need for out-of-touch advisors at administration. The consequence of this solution is that it would cost a decently large amount of money hiring all this staff. Much like the previous solution, high schools must push their students to enroll in universities, and not just to enroll, but to become closer to their desired field. The university must reach out to these high schools not just by advertising, but by creating opportunities that lets high school students make a more favorable choice regarding their field. This, of course, has already been done by MSA, but shows that many of the students leave to bigger universities because of lack of equality in their education, or just by way of personal ambition. By bringing the students closer to their fields early on instead of prioritizing their core classes first, like the advisors say, the students will be more likely to stay in the university, keeping the funding within the school and expanding the graduate program. The consequence of this, well, it's not really much of a consequence, but more like a soft solution. It's very well known that both campuses do not have enough professors and constantly resort to cutting away certain classes to save money, but that's exactly the root of the problem. As one of our interview professors said, the problem with the current administration is that they run the university for profit and not for education. Of course, education is the prime purpose of the university, but it is not the prime objective for them. This is a problem that encompasses most universities, and though it is a wicked problem, the possible solution has one very simple factor. This one simple factor is the existence of the administration. If the professors had full control of the university, the first two solutions would bring themselves about much faster than with the rule of the administration. Without the president grabbing up all the funds for the football team instead of hiring more qualified people to prevent the certification crisis, and more professors to teach the classes that are being cut, the university would have much more leeway by way of funds. The problem with this is that it's more conceptually sound than practical. Changing the ideology of the university's faculty is a hard-won solution.